Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability, SVTAGS. I'm really honored today to have two ladies with me from Happy Hollow. We have Heather and Vanessa, and Vanessa's returning.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think Heather's returning as well.
Yeah. Did you come on before?
Not this show.
Not this show, another
okay.
show. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I think that you were out of town last time we did this. So
Yeah.
we'll have to have you on more often and come back with some animals like last time
Yes.
too. You guys have some really fun events you're doing, and I know all about what you do. And if you do want to share a little bit about yourself, you can share a little bit about yourself if you're from the Bay Area. Now you're a returning guest, so people may have seen that show before. But tell us a little bit about yourself if you like to, and you know, if you've
Sure.
been with Happy Hollow a long time, and yeah.
Heather?
Sure. My background has always been recreation and just having a lot of fun and making San Jose a really great, fun place to be. And I had a background in camps and recreation and all sorts of things. And I started on the board of Happy Hollow many years ago, I think about 13 now. And I've been in this position for about 5 years. So I've just been able to kind of homestead my job, if that makes sense. And I think Vanessa had a very similar trajectory to get to her job. You started out as a volunteer as well.
I did. So I'm a transplant into the Bay Area, not a native here. But I started off at Happy Hollow as a docent 24 years ago. So I was a volunteer for 3 years, and then the position came up. So I've been at Happy Hollow now working for 21 years.
And I can't remember, did you go to school to be a handler with animals, or
I
no?
didn't. Yeah, so no, I didn't have that background. But I started off as the marketing person and events manager, and have grown the position to do that, plus take on all the conservation efforts as well.
All the other things you're doing. So was your background marketing then before?
It was, yes.
It was, okay.
Yeah.
And rec and
I went to Chico State. I was a rec major at Chico State. It's got a fantastic program there, and it's a serious business of fun.
yeah, I was actually just listening to Huey Lewis and the News, who played in Chico at one of their concerts. And actually, we were moving my niece yesterday, and she went to Chico, and anyway,
You can get a fantastic education there. You seek it out. It's one of the top programs in the country, and I hope that I could bring what I learned there here to the city of San Jose and keep that serious business of play and fun alive and make that happen here at Happy Hollow.
So how long have you both been with the zoo then again?
So 21 years for me.
21 years. Wow. And you don't even look that old.
No,
it's
good.
like, you look like you're in your 20s, and again, about 13?
About 13 or 14
About
years.
13.
Yeah.
And so tell me about, for people who haven't been, and I'm sure there's nobody in the audience that hasn't been, right?
I hope
but
not.
tell us about Happy Hollow and how it's morphed, and
Sure. So Happy Hollow was created opened the doors originally in 1961. But the foundation where Heather started is 1958 is when the foundation started. And that was the beginning, the brainchild, so to speak, of what Happy Hollow was started as and what it started to become. So opening the doors in March of 1961, and at the time it had started, it was just a park with a amusement area. It had no zoo component to it. In the 70s, the zoo component was added, but it was mixed in with the rides in the amusement area, and then that kind of split off. And then in 2010, we went for a complete remodel and came back. No, in 2008, we went for a complete remodel, came back up, reopened in 2010, and added additional 4.5 acres. So the facility is a 16.5 acre combination amusement park and zoo. And it's kind of a one of a kind in the country, but also coming back up, it was also built totally green. So we're the first amusement park and zoo in the country to be Gold LEED certified.
which is amazing.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up the first slide, which is actually, I think it's, we've got several different things going on here. We got some lemurs, we've got the donkey, we've got someone dressed up as a bat, and the ride. What is that ride again?
Danny the Dragon.
Okay, and
He's a vintage amusement ride from 1961.
Yes.
Wow.
He's one of the originals.
And he's still running.
He's still running. He's a
Started
little
off-
bit of a diva, but
Yes.
he is still running.
Started off as purple and pink and actually blew smoke out of his nose years ago.
Let's pull up the next slide too. And I just went to an event there not too long ago. So this is the front of the building here, and I think there's like some hippopotamuses that are sculpted. And then who's this on the left there?
That's Sophia.
Sophia.
Sophia is our jaguar, and she's the signature animal of the zoo. I think that's what most people know us for, is Sophia, but we have a fantastic small endangered collection.
Let's see, are they mostly night creatures then?
In the zoo, or just Sophia?
Sophia.
You know, she's pretty active in daytime
She's
for
pretty
being
active,
a cat.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, cats in general, regardless if it's a big cat like Sophia or a lion or your domestic cat at home, sleep about 21 hours a day. So she's active, certain parts during the day, but like most cats, she spends a lot of time sleeping.
So from 58 to 61, they've planned a park,
Yes.
and then it became a zoo. How many animals do you have there now?
So there's over 150 animals.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that includes cockroaches.
That includes a lot of different things, from insects to actually our newest residents, Xena and Xander, who are our giant anteaters. So we just opened that exhibit in September, but they're the newest, and there's more coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many people work with the zoo?
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna hand that one
So
to you.
yeah, a lot of seasonal people, of course, during the
About 3.
summertime, during our high. Yeah, but I would say about 30 people full time.
Wow. And of
Maybe
that,
a little bit
lot
more,
of
but 30, 40
volunteers too, right?
We do have volunteers. We have a volunteer base that are docents. We have a great program, a zoo teen program, that 13 to 18-year-olds that help out with camps and help the zookeepers. And it's a very popular program with a big waiting list, but they're volunteers as well.
So what is it, like a daily routine of, like, let's say the lemurs, like what does it take to care for some of these 150 animals? I can't even imagine.
You know, I do want to answer a little bit of that, because something
Sure.
as long as I've been there, I keep learning things. And something I realized when I was giving a lot of tours, I always learn something new when I go through with the zookeepers. And if you realize, they spend a lot of their time in their night houses. And so when our guests come through, they see their day exhibits, but then they don't realize that these animals have huge space behind the scenes that our guests don't even see. And our zookeepers actually spend a lot of time with the animals behind the scenes, doing enrichment, doing training. And so they might only be on exhibit for 6 or 7 hours a day or so, but the rest of their time is behind the scenes. So that was kind of a fun thing that I learned this year. It took me a little while to learn that.
So the people who are training and keeping the animals are doing more than the 6 hours behind the scene and enriching their lives, playing with them and working with them.
Yeah.
Working with them, yeah.
So
There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at not just Happy Hollow, but any zoo in general. That you see people come in, they have this great experience. They maybe meet Sophia the jaguar or a pygmy hippopotamus somewhere, or elephants, that kind of a thing. But what you see is one thing. What's happening behind the scenes just on a daily basis for a zookeeper, or whether it's feeding or cleaning or enrichment, which is a huge part of what a zookeeper's job is, to enrich the lives of the animals, whether it's through all their senses, anything to keep them active and going, whether thinking, moving, whatever that is. That's a huge part of it. But even stepping back further on a bigger scale, on a global scale, there's huge efforts being taken place in zoos. It's a modern zoo. It's their role right now about conservation, field conservation, supporting what's going on in the wild. So whether that's supporting a conservationist in the wild, like Dr. Lori Marker with cheetah conservation, or supporting people that are protecting the animals. There's all kinds of different ways that zoos are very much focused in on to help support conservation in the wild.
So you talked about the new animals.
Yes.
And it took a while to get the anteaters, didn't it?
It did. Well, actually, we had them. What happened was, so one of them arrived from Reed Park Zoo in Arizona, and that was the male, Xander, and then Xena came from Dallas. So these were animals that were born in zoos, and Xander turned out to be quite a climber. So the exhibit that we had ready to roll actually had to be modified dramatically, had to have a netting put on the top, and while we were at it, why don't we add a pool? And
he climbs right up.
quite a
Like,
climber.
oh, he's a climber.
Yeah, so
And
we
he's
added
also-
a pool, and
he's
yes,
a swimmer.
we're a swimmer.
He loved to swim. So what I really want our guests here to know is that it's not just about these animals, it's each specific animal and what do they particularly need. What does Xander need? What does Xena need? Well, he's a climber and a swimmer. Well, he needs extra netting and he needs an actual pool, and of course that means he needs a waterfall. And it turns out that the water waterfall was a great feature, but I've seen Xena playing in that waterfall for 45 minutes, just rolling
Wow.
around in there.
Wow.
So that's another example of a built environment taking care of some of their needs that way.
Yeah.
Really proud of
So
that.
even though they were here, you learn about the individual, not just the species, and then all of a sudden you start to realize we need to modify things.
So how often do you get new animals then? Is that a long process or?
It can be. So it can be. So the anteaters were the first new animal in quite some time, but I think you'll be seeing more animals coming on board in the next few years as well.
Well, I loved, my sister bid on a lemur event and we got to go, and I think that was, I don't know if it was the Congo or whatever, but you have a bunch of annual events. So let's pull up a slide
do.
here. And it's, this was actually